The case started when terrible Teddy Thompson awakened on the morning of his big match. Ted was a simple soul, a wonder boy who got by on sheer instinct and ability. The greatest natural wrestler to come down the pike since Samson had his set to with the Philistines. He was favored to win the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Till this happened.
Hey, Bob! Bob! Yeah, what is it? Did you have to wake me up? Look, my hands, my shirt, blood. Are you hurt, Ted? What happened? I don't know. This blood ain't mine. I ain't got any cuts. It looks like I must have killed somebody.
Another cup of this noble, if you'll pardon the expression, beverage, Counselor?
Thanks, Sally. I always said you brewed the muddiest cup of coffee in town.
Hey, you sure did. Hey, Jeff, weren't you in the service with this Ted Thompson, the East Coast grunt and groan artist?
That's right. We were both MPs.
Well, confidentially, do you think he's going to take this phony count tonight, or is the match fixed?
Well, I'll put my dough on Terrible Teddy. He's too honest to throw a match.
Yeah, says you. You know, this Count Baroni ain't no sissy. And he wrestles dirty.
You a fan of his?
I see him on TV. And you know what he said? He said, I'm going to take this Teddy Thompson and break him like a flower. Well, he did.
Care to make a little wager?
Give me odds?
10 to your 5.
Huh. You've got a bet.
I should have waited to get the inside dope from Ted's manager, who showed up just too late to keep me from throwing my money away, as if I knew what I was doing.
You're Jeff Jones.
And you're Bob York.
Yeah. Ted wants to see you right away.
What about?
Get lost, will you?
I can take a hint.
Well, can't it wait? I haven't finished my breakfast.
My boy wants you now. You an old buddy of his from the service or not?
Yeah. Ted in a jam?
Don't ask questions. You'll get the answers later. You're a private eye, aren't you? Detective?
Private eye, yes. Detective. Varying opinions.
Okay, I'm hiring you. Come on.
I never let breakfast interfere with business.
Hey, how about the check?
Put it on the tab, Sally. The tab.
Oh, put it on the tab, he says.
York had used a cab to get to the Golden Bubble, so I drove him back in my chariot. He and Ted had rooms in a small apartment hotel off the Strip, but he had left Ted working out in private at the arena. His heart wasn't in his work. His mind was on other things, but he seemed glad to see me.
You've got to help me, Jeff. I've got to know what happened.
Sure, Ted, sure. You ever blanked out like this before?
Only in the ring during a match, but he kept on wrestling. Just couldn't remember what happened after.
It scared me. I've been afraid I'd really hurt someone ever since, and now?
Hold the phone, son. Begin at the beginning.
Well, I couldn't sleep last night, so I went out for a walk. I do that sometimes, and then I can sleep.
Where were you?
We got adjoining rooms. I was in mine, sound asleep.
I didn't want to wake him up.
Next time, don't be so considerate.
Well, I walked up in Sunset, and I went into the South Seas Club. It was time for the floor show. I just thought I'd see it and walk back to the hotel.
Well, what changed your mind?
I ran into a dame.
It's beginning to sound like the old story.
No. You don't understand. We'd met her a couple of nights before with Bob and a bunch of the local boys.
The promoter of the match tossed a feed for all of us.
Well, who provided the girls?
No girls. This one just sort of attached herself to us. A redhead, and she'd seen better days.
Her name is Bernice. I never heard her last one. Bought her a drink, and she coaxed me into having one with her.
And you thought just one wouldn't hurt anything?
I had a glass of milk. I was just lonesome for Alice, I guess. Gee, if Alice ever hears about this, she couldn't make the match. Sonny's been sick.
Oh, that's tough, kid.
I didn't mean any harm. Honest. After the floor show, Bernice asked me to take her home. I took her in a cab.
And she asked you inside?
She made me some hot chocolate. After that, I don't remember a single thing until I woke up in my own bed this morning.
Didn't you hear him come in?
No.
What about the desk clerk?
It's only a small place. There's no one on the desk or elevator after midnight.
I don't even remember how I got back there, but I must have beaten up someone. Bernice. Maybe even killed her.
Take it easy, kid. This whole thing could be a plant.
You mean it's a trick?
Maybe the idea is to get your boy so upset he'll blow the match tonight. I've heard Count Baroni plays dirty pool.
Yeah, but the blood.
So maybe somebody killed a chicken. Are you sure it was blood?
Well, it wasn't ketchup, and I've got to know what I did.
Why don't you leave it lay, Ted? Forget about it like I wanted you to.
Don't you understand? I'll go nuts if I don't find out. Jeff's a private cop. He can find out things.
Okay, but we got to keep it undercover, at least until the match is over tonight.
I'll do what I can. Remember where this babe lives?
Yeah, it was a bungalow court on a street somewhere off Vine.
Well, that's a big help. That section's loaded with bungalow courts.
I'm sorry, Jeff, but that's all I can remember.
Okay, kid. I had only one other lead to the girl, and it wasn't very promising at this hour in the morning. The South Seas Club was one of those intimate little tourist traps that featured island atmosphere, food and drink at fancy mainland prices. I knew Pete Marco, the owner, lived upstairs in the so-called penthouse, but I didn't intend to bother him if I could help it. The welcoming committee hurried over to greet me.
We're closed, mister. The bar ain't open till noon.
Well, I'm not thirsty anyway.
Well, on your way, Bob.
I like you, too. I'm looking for someone who works here, maybe. Name's Bernice.
Ain't nobody named Bernice work here.
What about a girl named Bernice? Come on over, handsome.
Doreen!
Run along, Midge. I'll handle this.
You heard the lady, Midge? Run along. You're not Bernice.
Maybe I could take her place.
Is she a friend of yours?
Maybe. Yours?
Maybe.
If you want anything from me, you gotta give a little, handsome. You know, I don't even know your name.
Jones.
Mine's Smith. You're cute, Jonesy.
You're not so hard to take. We alone?
Yeah. Peaceful, isn't it?
Peaceful's hardly the word. What about the beer barrel that walks like a man?
Oh, forget about him. You know, I was bored till you came along. You've been bored, Jonesy?
Not recently. We mustn't forget about Bernice.
Why mustn't we? What has Bernice got that I couldn't make you forget for a little while?
Not a thing, baby. Not a thing.
Doreen.
Oh, Marco. What can be so important to get you up at the crack of dawn?
What do you want here?
I was just about to get some information when I was so rudely interrupted.
What kind of information, gumshoe?
Gumshoe?
Yeah, what'd you think he was, a sucker, a rich playboy?
But he can't be a detective. He doesn't look like one.
Thanks, baby.
I was just bored, Pete. I didn't tell him anything.
You get bored too easy, Doreen. What do you want to know?
He was asking about Bernice.
I don't know anything about Miss Whalen except she's a fairly regular customer.
Where can I find her?
I wouldn't know. Show our visitor the way out, Midge.
Well, it was lovely while it lasted, Smitty.
So long, Jonesy. Sorry.
Come on, wise guy. Hands off the merchandise, Midge. Just show me the door. Don't push me through it. Midge was obviously a veteran grunt and groan artist. He had the trademarks of his calling. 2 tin ears and a broken nose. A holdover from the days when Pete Marco had been a wrestling promoter. I recalled that he was buddy-buddy with that great cheese champion, Count Baroni. It was possible Marco had a piece of the phony nobleman. But the important thing at the moment was Marco had called Bernice by her last name, Miss Whalen. So the girl's name must be Bernice Whalen. I used that handy little reference book, the telephone directory. Miss Whalen didn't answer her phone, but she was listed at an address off Vine and Franklin. It turned out to be a bungalow court, just as Ted had remembered. No one came to the door, but I decided to call on Bernice whether she was home or not. She was home, all right. She wouldn't be going anyplace. Ever. Teddy Thompson, the boy who didn't know his own strength, had good reason to be afraid of what he'd done. There was blood, dried now, to match the stains Ted had found on his hands and clothes.
Hold it, mister. Be careful. I just as soon let you have it as not, see?
Yeah, I see. Where'd you drop from?
I've been here all the time, see?
Why'd you kill her?
You're a liar. I didn't kill her, see?
Okay, so you didn't kill her.
Who are you? What you come here for?
I'm a private investigator. Bernice phoned me yesterday.
Yeah? What about?
She was going to tell me that today.
How do I know you ain't tied up with the guy that knocked off Bernice?
And who might that be?
He's a wrestler. But he ain't gonna wrestle no more, see? I'll take care of that.
Well, you better not make any mistakes.
Listen, I don't need no advice from you. Now turn around and get your hands up.
Someone was leaning over me, pulling me up. The voice I heard was far, far away.
Jeff. Jeff.
Then I broke through to the surface.
Jeff, what happened to you?
Getting my lumps as usual. How did you happen here so opportunely?
Phone call to headquarters tipped me I might find something interesting at this address.
Who called?
Mr. Anonymous. And I must say I find you here under very suspicious circumstances. That girl's dead, Jeff. She's been beaten to death.
Well, don't look at me. It happened last night. She's been dead for hours.
So? Explain why you're here now.
I got a client to protect.
This is murder, Jeff. You can't cover that for anybody.
All right, but keep it out of the papers until after Teddy Thompson's match tonight.
Why?
Because he thinks he did this.
He thinks so, doesn't he? No?
He woke up this morning with dried blood on his hands. He took Bernice home from the South Seas last night. Blacked out as soon as he got there.
Oh, he must have been really off his rocker.
Either that or he was framed.
Any reason I should buy that?
Have your boys analyze the dregs of cocoa in that cup.
You think he was drugged?
Yeah. But I don't think he'd do a thing like that. He's a sweet guy. Gentle as a kitten. Except when he's in the ring.
So he's gentle as a kitten. What am I supposed to do?
Investigate the other angles, but leave Ted out of it until after the matches tonight.
Now, wait a minute. You know I can't do that.
Look, give me a chance to find another pigeon for this. Teddy's got a nice little wife and kid back in Chicago. Give him a break.
All right, Jeff. You twisted my arm. Who you going after?
Maybe the guy that slugged me. He's as good a pigeon as anybody. He may be gunning for Ted.
What makes you say that?
I got the idea he was more than a friend to Bernice. He claimed to know who killed her.
Oh. Hey, Jeff.
Yeah?
No funny business. I'm giving you a break on this. Don't make me regret it.
Would I do that? If you did, I would.
You get the idea.
You're a cop. First, last, and always, Doyle. But you're also a pretty good guy. I went back and reported to my principals, telling them just what I'd found. They took it like a sentence to the gas chamber. So there was a lot more to it than we thought.
Then I did do it. I must be an awful heel.
You were framed, Ted.
Framed?
He was fed a Mickey at the girl's place last night.
A Mickey? You mean that dame gave me some knockout drops?
It wasn't a love potion. You passed out. You don't know what happened.
That's it. That's what's been driving me nuts. What am I going to do? Jeff, what am I going to do?
Take it easy, Ted. Give me a chance to pin this caper on somebody else.
What do you mean?
I'm going on a pigeon hunt. You two stay here and don't do anything until you hear from me. It was past noon now, and the bar at the South Seas Club would be open. But the only business it was doing was with Doreen. She seemed to be a permanent fixture here.
Get lost, Jonesy. Take my advice and walk out of here fast while you can still walk.
I got to talk to you, baby.
But I don't got to talk to you. You're cute, but so long, Jonesy.
Back again, huh? Now, what is it with you? Can't you take a hint?
Somebody around here's going to talk, Marco. You knew Bernice Whalen.
So?
She picked up Teddy Thompson here last night, took him home and fed him a Mickey. She was acting under your orders.
Why under my orders?
Because you're tied in with wrestlers and wrestling. You're also a personal friend and backer of Count Baroni.
This may be true.
Am I boring you?
Pour me some more.
It'd mean a lot for Baroni to win the undisputed title tonight. But he couldn't beat Ted. So you framed him for murder.
Murder?
Yeah, haven't you heard? Bernice got her brains beat out last night.
But that wasn't in the...
Wasn't in the what, baby? Gonna spill it to me or the police?
Okay, Pete. You tell him or I will. Murder wasn't in the deal, and I can't go for that.
Okay. I admit turning Bernice loose on Thompson when he walked in here last night. It's one of those spur-of-the-moment ideas.
She worked on him to take her home.
She was supposed to keep him there. Feed him a Mickey if she had to. Anything to make sure he wouldn't be in shape for the match tonight.
Nice, clean trick.
Nothing, just a favor for my friend Count Peroni.
Murder's quite a favor.
Like Doreen said, murder wasn't in the deal. If Ted went nuts and killed her, I can't help it.
He didn't. You didn't seem very surprised when I told you Bernice was dead.
So I wasn't surprised.
So maybe Midge did the job for you.
If he did, it was his own idea. He gets one once in a while.
You're mixed up in this, Marco. If you want to get out from under, give me a pigeon. You know, somebody I can throw to the cops.
Like Midge, huh?
Yeah. Can you think of a better prospect?
Look out!
You had enough? Hold still, everybody. Break it up. Jeff, what are you doing down there?
I'm just lying here because it's more comfortable this way.
You come on with me.
Lieutenant, this man became violent and it was necessary to subdue him. I believe he's suffering from hallucinations.
What'd you break it up for? Another minute, I'd kill the guy.
Hallucinations is right.
And that's the way they played it. I wound up believing maybe I was having hallucinations. I was a little punch-drunk by this time anyway. Doyle had traced the phone tip about Bernice Whalen's death to the South Seas Club, which was lucky for me. I tried to nail me a pigeon, and the attempt had backfired in my face.
Well, that was a darn fool thing to do, barging in there and putting it cold to him like that.
I thought laying it on the line might jar something loose. It did. My brain.
Well, it hasn't been any use to you lately anyway.
Go ahead, rub it in.
Hey, you look like you just won 6 rounds with the revolving door and lost the decision.
Bring me a cup of coffee, Sully. Forget the funny sayings.
Sure, Jeff, sure. You, Lieutenant?
Yeah. I guess you can't rule a guy out for trying, even if it didn't work.
They're involved in this mishmash. That anonymous phone call came from the South Seas, which indicates a knowledge of the murder.
I can't believe Marco would order a murder just to fix a wrestling match.
You gonna take his word for it or mine?
Jeff, I can't hold any of them without booking Thompson. I'm sorry.
You promised to lay off Teddy till after the match tonight.
I only said I'd give you a chance to pin the murder on somebody else. You tried and you flubbed it.
Look, if Ted killed her, he isn't responsible. If he didn't, leaving him free might give us a chance to find the real killer.
Jeff, don't try to double-talk me.
That joker I found in her bungalow knows who killed Bernice. What about him?
I checked. Twitcher Henderson, the girl's boyfriend. A small-time torpedo, as erratic and unstable as a hophead.
Okay, let the match go on, snag Twitcher, and you'll crack your case.
I've already put out a pickup on him.
Oh, have a heart, Lieutenant. Give the guy a break. Jeff and I got a bet on the match. That's unless Jeff wants to call it off.
Oh, no, that's up to Doyle.
Gee, Lieutenant, think of all the thousands of people who'll be disappointed if Thompson doesn't appear, and they're going to have to give him back their money, too, won't they, Jeff?
Mm-hmm. Well, terrible Teddy Thompson lived up to his name that night. He was terrible. But probably no wrestler ever went into the ring for a championship 2-hour match with a handicap Teddy'd been given. I had to tell him I'd let him down. And the belief that he'd beaten a girl to death frightened him and sickened his soul. In addition, if he had killed Bernice, the man who knew it might be in the crowd, waiting for the opportune moment to gun him down. But Ted was a moving target. He'd be hard to hit. Doyle was watching. And he had men planted at every entrance. And all on the lookout for Twitcher Henderson. If he'd gotten by them into the building, he'd had to bore through the door. Ted was usually cast as the hero in these affairs. The clean-fighting, aggressive American boy. And Baroni was a villain, reveling in the crowd's hate for him. But tonight, the crowd wasn't with Teddy. They sensed something was wrong. believing the match was fixed. But all of those present weren't unhappy. They knew the match wasn't fixed, but it might just as well have been the way things were going. But Ted was really taking a shellacking. He acted as if he was afraid to retaliate, for fear he might flip his wig and kill Baroni. And then nature's nobleman clamped on his famous trick submission hold. Ted held out for a moment, and then submitted. The crowd booed him. He was a bewildered, unhappy guy.
I must have got out the same way he came in. All right, Clancy, have the boys check outside and see that that crowd doesn't come back here. Hold it.
Get over there, copper.
Play it smart, Henderson. This place is crawling with my men. You can't get out of here.
I got in, didn't I? Lock that door.
You all right, Ted?
Yeah, they've delayed the match until they're sure it's safe to continue.
He's all right, but he ain't gonna be. I won't miss the next time.
Take it easy, Twitcher.
I'm gonna blast somebody before I get out of here. Bernice was my girl, see? And nobody can do what they did to her and get away with it, see?
They're not gonna get away with it. But what makes you think Ted Thompson killed Bernice?
She told me she ran into an old friend. The other night said he was in the wrestling racket now.
That's no motive for murder.
Well, she had something on him and she was gonna shake him down. But he killed her instead of paying off.
Did you see it happen?
I didn't have to. I found out he came home with her last night.
Didn't she tell you his name?
Said it was Flagler, but he changed it.
She said he was in the wrestling racket, not that he was a wrestler.
What are you driving at, Jeff?
It couldn't have been Ted because Thompson's his real name.
That's right. It couldn't be me.
But who cuts in with her for 50% of the take?
Oh, no. Not Bob.
Yeah, your manager, your pal. We can check his background and whether he left his room last night.
Well, he was asleep.
So he woke up, found you out cold, killed Bernice, and then pretended to protect you.
But why? Why?
He wanted you for the fall guy.
Jeff, wait.
Somebody had to bring you home. You were drugged. You couldn't have brought yourself home.
Bob?
I'm sorry, Teddy. I couldn't let her start working on you. I can't move. I must be hit bad.
Yeah, Bob. Real bad.
You mean I'm gonna die?
You could be a good guy and clear up everything for Ted.
Yeah? Okay.
Take a statement, Doyle. The confession was a clincher, but it was almost as hard for Ted to take as the thought of being guilty himself. But he insisted on finishing the match. He was a changed man. He had to be sore at someone for what had happened, and he took it out on Baroni in two of the fastest falls on record. To win the two belts and the undisputed championship of the world. He was their invincible All-American boy again, and the crowd loved him.
Both Bernice and York were shakedown artists.
Well, where did they know each other before when his name was, Flagler?
New York. They were partners in a souped-up badger game. One of their suckers wouldn't be bluffed, so York killed him.
Oh, that's when they broke up.
Uh-huh. Until she happened into the South Seas the other night and recognized him.
He went to Chicago, changed his name, drifted into wrestling as a manager. That's where he picked up Ted.
He had a legitimate gold mine, which he didn't want to cut up with anybody. Bernice was a threat to his security, so he liquidated her.
I don't know how you guys pulled that one out of the fire. From the very first, I thought the terrible Teddy didn't stand a chance.
Oh, York's dying confession changed all that.
He kicked off, huh?
No, I'm afraid he'll live to face a jury.
Yeah, but he just said...
Sully, the power of suggestion is a wonderful thing. Jeff made him believe he was cashing in.
Well, to me, it don't hardly seem like the square thing to do. But anyway, here's the $5 I owe you. I always pay my debts.
From now on, I don't go hunting for pigeons anyplace else, Sully. You're my pigeon. I love you.
Well, I like you, too. But let's not get sickening about it, please.